What's up guys, Rhett here. Welcome back to Lawn Insider. Today we're going to cover the best post-emergent weed killers for your Bermuda lawn. Alright, thanks for coming back guys. Today we're just going to discuss what we're going to do about the weeds that have already shown up in the lawn. I made a video earlier this season that you guys might be interested in about pre-emergent, which is a product you're going to put down to prevent future weeds. But today's video is going to focus on products you can use and practices you can use that will help out with weeds that have already popped up in your lawn. We're going to show you the products that I use, how to apply them, and when to apply them. So stick around. So right off the bat, I want to mention the number one thing you can do with your lawn that will prevent weeds, and that is going to be mow frequently, because mowing frequently is really going to thicken up the canopy of that turf, and it's going to make it really hard for weeds to be able to compete for nutrients, and therefore you're just not going to see a whole lot of them. And when I'm talking about thick turf, this is what I'm talking about. So you can see that the grass itself is so thick, this top canopy, that it's going to be really hard for weed seeds to work their way down in there. And even if they do work their way in there, they're competing with all this existing turf for nutrients, and that's just going to prevent a lot of weeds from really showing up in the first place. And that's also why you want to maintain your Bermuda grass at a lower height of cut, because when you're mowing it that low, it really allows for that lateral growth, and that lateral growth is going to be what allows you to get a really thick lawn. Now luckily, it's not necessary to be an expert on identifying weeds by looking at them to be able to kill them, because a lot of these products that I use and that are on the market in general are going to be able to kill a multitude of weeds. There are a few that you need to be able to identify because they're going to require a specific product, but other than that, it really doesn't have to be very complicated. But as we all know, no matter how nice your lawn is, you are going to get the occasional weed or even outbreak of weeds. So it is important to have a good plan in place to attack that problem when it does occur. And I also want to give credit where credit is due here. I'm not the creator of this plan. I actually got it off of the lawnforum.com, off of a thread called the Bermuda Triangle. The lawnforum.com overall is a fantastic lawn and garden resource. In my opinion, it's the best one on the internet, and I didn't want to get any further into this video without giving those guys a shout out. Okay, so using this strategy, there's really only 3 products that we're going to need, and there's really only one weed that we're going to have to be able to identify, and that's because it's going to need a particular one of the products that we just mentioned. And the 3 products that can help you tackle any weed problem you have in your Bermuda lawn are Celsius, which is kind of the catch-all. It's going to be able to handle 95% of the weeds in your lawn. Sedge Hammer, which you're going to use for yellow nut sedge, which is the one weed that you're going to be able to need to identify. And then Roundup, which you're going to use for anything that the Celsius or the Sedge Hammer won't kill. I will point out that the price point on the Celsius and the Sedge Hammer is pretty high, but when you actually take into account how long it will last you, literally year after year after year after year, especially if you store it correctly, then it's actually a lot cheaper than the stuff that you're going to end up buying at Home Depot or Lowe's. But with that being said, I do have a couple of budget options later on in the video. Here is a close-up view of the 3 products. I wanted to show you guys the labels a little more closely. Celsius, like I said, it is your main herbicide. It's going to be able to take out, over 90% of the weeds you see in your lawn. You can see the active ingredients there. I'll keep the grass types on here for a second in case you are a viewer that does not have Bermuda grass. Alright, but that is going to wipe out most of the weeds in your lawn, but we have these other 2 products for the stuff that Celsius isn't going to take out. Sedge Hammer is more of like your specialty, your selective herbicide. Sedge Hammer is made for nut sedge, and specifically around here at least, yellow nut sedge is what you're going to see in the lawn. Nut sedge comes out whenever there is a lot of moisture in your yard, so maybe it's been raining a lot, or maybe you've been running the sprinklers a lot, or something like that, something along those lines, and you have a nut sedge problem. You're going to need some sedge hammer to take that out. And coincidentally, nut sedge is the one weed that you're going to need to be able to identify, because you're going to have to use this particular product on it. And I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of nut sedge up on the screen so you guys have an idea of what that looks like. And then the last product, okay, the big boy in the middle here, is Roundup, which has the active ingredient of glyphosate. Now, glyphosate is not a selective herbicide. It is going to kill the weed, but it's also going to take out the grass. So you really want to be very careful when you're using Roundup. On the lawn form, it suggests to paint the weed that you're trying to kill with Roundup. That way you're not chancing any drift from the spray and killing grass that you don't want to kill. But anyway, these three are the only three products that you're going to need to maintain a virtually weed-free lawn, along with the thick lawn that we talked about earlier. Okay, so in order to actually apply the product, you're going to need some sort of sprayer. I have a 4-gallon Ryobi battery-powered sprayer, a 1-gallon hand pump sprayer, and if I'm just really applying to a very small area or just a few weeds, I really prefer to put it in this hand sprayer because it allows me to be a little bit more precise and I'm not using as much product. Okay, remember what I said earlier, these products are expensive up front, but per application, they're very, very cheap. I wanted to give you guys an idea of how little product is actually used every time an application is made. So this tiny little measuring cup that actually comes with the sedge hammer, 1 cupful of that is good to make a gallon of the sedge hammer solution, and 2 cupfuls is good to make a gallon of the Celsius solution. So when I say a little bit goes a long way, I mean a very little bit goes a long way. So if the initial investment is all that's holding you back from purchasing these products, I would suggest maybe going in, half and half with a friend or a neighbor, because in the long run, the cost per application and the longevity of these two products and the effectiveness of these two products is worth the money. When you do apply these products, you're probably going to want to do it earlier in the morning, because most of these herbicides and most all herbicides or weed killers are going to tell you that they should not be applied when the weather is over 85 or 90 degrees. Well, I live in Texas, so in the summertime, pretty much May all the way through September, it's never, at least in the high for the day, it's never going to be under 85. So you have to go out early in the morning and apply it. After you apply these weed killers, you really want to give it maybe 3, 4, 5 days before your next mow, because you really want to give the plant a chance to soak up the weed killer and give the product a chance to do its job on the plant. Another little tip is to add a little surfactant whenever you're mixing your herbicides. And what this product does is it allows the liquid mixture to really coat the plant. Surfactant is basically soap, so it just makes the solution a little bit thicker and a little bit stickier, and it allows the weed killer to stick on the plant better. And all of these products are safe to use in the lawn. You just have to make sure that after you apply, you let it completely dry before you let your kids or your pets out in the yard. As promised earlier in the video, I do have a couple of budget options here. The Spectracide Weed Stop for lawns and the Roundup for lawns. It says it kills weeds, not the lawn. I do want to point out that this is a different Roundup product than the one mentioned earlier in the video. This one does not contain glyphosate, so this one is not going to kill anything you put it on. It's only going to target the weeds. Same thing with this product here. Now there's a few things I like about these products. Number one being their convenience. You can go to the local big box store, Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace, and you can pick up either of these. Number two, being your upfront cost. Your upfront cost is going to be cheap. However, per application, they are more expensive than the Celsius and the Sledgehammer, so keep that in mind. Even though those products did have a higher price tag, they're going to last you a lot longer, and they are going to be slightly more effective because they're geared more towards commercial use, and these are geared more towards your average homeowner. And then the third thing the third thing that I like about these products is that they both list that they kill yellow nutsedge, which is nice because it means, unlike earlier, we don't need a specific product to kill yellow nutsedge. Now the Roundup product I mentioned earlier is actually ready to go. It's got its own spray wand, so as soon as you get home, you can go out in the lawn, find some weeds, and get after it. But the Spectracide product is also going to have to be sprayed, either with the sprayers we mentioned earlier, or maybe something like this. And this is an orthodilin spray. Another budget option here. This is probably costs between like $12 and $15 at your local big box. You can find it on Amazon too, of course. And what this allows you to do is make sure that you are putting down a specific amount of product, whatever the rate is on the bottle, on your lawn, and that way you're definitely not going to damage the turf. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up right there. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm going to leave links to the products that I mentioned in the video below in the description. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. I hope I see y'all again next week. Lawn Insider, out.